Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Devo with Bo. Oh, super stoked to be with you today. Got my old specs on, so the glare is going to probably be a little intense. It doesn't have that glare protection that is so needed nowadays. But anyway, hope you guys are doing good. And it is July 24th. We're going to be in Job chapter 9 today. You could always check out the archives of the devotions at my YouTube channel at Bo Willette. And that's my YouTube channel, Bo Willette. Very French-Canadian name. And anyway, check it out. A lot of books of the Bible I've gone through. I definitely go through it in a devotion style way, kind of a Generation X style way too. I'm definitely a product of my generation. A lot of music in my life, a lot of festivals, a lot of a lot of metal in my life, metal music, reggae. Definitely have some wonderful friends in the music industry, and just fun. But anyway. So I kind of come at reading the Bible sometimes from those angles. But anyway, it's great to read through it and just check it out and get it in our hearts and think about it a little bit. And I love that through the day. It's 9:55, a little late today just because it was such a nice day when I got up earlier this morning that I went on a little moto ride up to Oracle and back. And that took a little bit of time, but yeah, very cool place up there. Little coffee shop. It's super nice. It's called, I think it's Way of the Bean. Way of the Bean up in Oracle. Give it a shot. Go up there. Amazing pastries. Oh, man, so good. So, chapter 9 of Job. Job's going to respond, and he's going to respond to this other friend of his named Bildad. And Bildad said some amazing theological things, some things that we know of in the Bible. You reap what you sow kind of principle, right? That kind of karma principle. It's not so much karma, reap what you sow, but it definitely feels like that in our culture. Meaning, when someone says, hey, you're going to reap what you sow, and someone says karma, we kind of tend to equate those things, right? You reap, or you kind of sow this kind of thing in your life, you're going to reap its benefits. And that's kind of, I think how a lot of people interpret the idea of karma as well, even though it is different. But I think a lot of people just in the culture, pop culture, if you will, popular culture, they tend to see it that way. Karma, that is, that, hey, you do this, that's going to happen. Bildad shares these kind of things to Job, and Job's going to answer. He says, Job spoke again. Yes, I know all this is true in principle. Ooh, interesting. Things can be true in principle, but be potentially wrong. It says, but how can a person be declared innocent in God's sight? That's a good question. How can a person be declared innocent in God's sight? See, this is the problem we have with humans in general. And this is so great about the Bible. It's giving us some incredible, and if you will, existential questions that are very much true to us as human beings in our minds. This is how we think. If there is a God, who can be true? Who can be innocent in his sight? Job realizes this. Something's wrong with us as human beings. There is a depravity that we carry with us. It's not just in our behavior, but it's in our being. Whoa, that's interesting. It's not just in our behavior, but it's in our being. We have something wrong with us. How can a person be declared innocent in God's sight? Now, in our devotion, it's beautiful to reflect on Jesus and what Jesus has come to do, because he's come to remedy this being of iniquity, sin that we're in. And that is the beauty of the message of the good news, is that though your sins be as scarlet, he will make you white as snow. He will make you as white as snow. He is going to purify your life. Not only that, he gives you the righteousness of Jesus Christ, the very right standing that Jesus, as the Son of the Father, has. He has given you that same standing with his Father. Pretty cool, right? Again, it's like the dude who's outside your house, man, who's a friend of your son's. He can come in your house. Why? Because he knows the Son. When you know the Son, you have access to the house. And this certainly is true. So, man, it's good to reflect on that. Who does have, who can be declared innocent before God? If someone wanted to take God to court, would it be possible to answer him even once in 1,000 times? Could you put God on trial and find him guilty once? Could you win in a court of law just once with God? You know, the band Depeche Mode had a song that, says, kind of this idea that when I see God, God, I think, has a sixth sense of humor. And when I die, I expect to find God laughing. And I don't know what they exactly were talking about, that band Depeche Mode, but I get the idea that they were kind of mocking God in a lot of ways. Like God is sinister in his nature. And the thing is when we die, we're going to be able to have our time in court. And Job's saying something pretty cool, and that is, there is not going to be any wrong with God. Instead, our eyes are going to be more clear than ever of our own problems and of our own rebellion, of our own rebellious heart. Whew, we're kind of radical, right? It says, for God is so wise and so mighty, who can ever challenge him successfully? Without warning, he moves the mountains, overturning them in his anger. He shakes the earth from his place, and its foundations tremble. These are all pictures of kind of power, right? The power of God. And he commands it. The sun won't rise and the stars won't shine. He alone has spread out the heavens and marches on the waves of the sea. God is the surfer, if you will. And he made all the stars, the Bear and Orion, the Pleiades, and the constellations of the southern sky. He does great things too marvelous to understand. He performs countless miracles. Isn't that interesting? Job says he performs countless miracles. Look at the world, man. That is one giant miracle. Isn't that cool when you think of the world and the way the natural laws are, right? What we call natural laws. You study physics, right? You study even the laws of logic. You study just natural law, like how things work. It's pretty remarkable, and Job seems to indicate it's all kind of a miracle. It's all amazing how life began and how life works, and the organization of the cells, the molecules, and how that's really what we're seeing, the vibrations, the battery-like components, the energy that's in the world. It's all phenomenal, fascinating, a miracle, right? And he says, yet when he comes near, I cannot see him. When he moves by, I do not see him go by. If he snatches someone in death, who can stop him? Who dares to ask, what are you doing? And God does not restrain his anger. Even the monsters of the sea are crushed beneath his feet. Interesting. God all-powerful, but yet everywhere, yet in a sense, touchable, unstoppable. Even the giant, squid, even the big great white sharks, even the giant whales are no match for the deity. So who am I that I should try to answer God? Ooh, good question, Bo. Who am I that I should try to respond and try to put down God? I think this is what really got me in my teenage years, is I think my narcissism got the best of me. It was easy for me to, I would definitely have been that person who would have made a YouTube video just criticizing God and just spieling out stuff that I had no clue what I was talking about, but what was kind of popular in my current culture, my subcultures of LA. You know, I would have been that guy who just would have spit out stuff that I heard the atheists say, or that I read from a Noam Chomsky book, or a Howard Zinn book, or a whatever book. You know, I would have spit that stuff out. You know, I just would have regurgitated what my preachers said. I didn't realize that I had my own set of preachers. I had my own evangelist. I had my presuppositions, you know, and of course I thought they were right. And so, you know, you kind of spiel out your stuff. You know, today I'm able to say, you know what? I don't know. I don't know. You know, I believe God knows. I believe Jesus. There's definitely historical proof to the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus from Nazareth. And because I hold that to be true, I'm going to look to him as my ultimate authority on life and on death. But, you know, you might make a different decision, and you might go, you know, I don't think Jesus is a really qualified person to talk about life or death. You know, I think someone else is. I think Professor Dawkins is. You know, I think he's a real, you know, living, you know, solid person, authority on life and death. I think, you know, hey, the deceased, Hitchens, atheist Hitchens, you know, is, or I think, you know, Sam Harris is, or one of the other, you know, atheist kind of quasi-Buddhist, whatever, you know, kind of person is. You know, you have another authority figure in your life. We're all doing it. We're all in the same boat doing it, right? You know, we all think that we can kind of go at the deity, and I certainly have done my fair share of that. As I got older, I realized that I had to just give it up. That all that narcissism and selfishness, gosh, who am I? You know, what am I? This earth is just traveling around the sun. We're just moving right now around the globe. You know what I mean? We're going around. We're in orbit right now as we speak. We are moving. And, you know, who am I to think I could stop that? Who am I to think that I got any power over those things? Foolish, right? Even if I were right, I would have no defense. I could only plead for mercy. Even if I were correct on some level, man, all I can do before the deity is just ask for mercy. That's it. You know? Do you want to ask for mercy today? Are you okay with asking for mercy today? Or are you still just gripping it? Are you still thinking you got it together? Are you still thinking you got it right? It says, and even if I summoned him and he responded, I'm not sure he would listen to me, for he attacks me with a storm and repeatedly wounds me without cause. How am I going to know that God's going to really be, you know, for me, even if he does show up, you know, here in the present? I mean, who's to say if God's not going to judge me? You know, we always tend to think like, oh man, God can hang with me, I can hang with God. Oh man, my God's so loving, he just wants to hang with me, this kind of idea. We don't, and what it does is it kind of makes me move away from really some of the problems I got in my life and the admissions that I need to have in my life. Well, maybe I'm not so good, and maybe I do got this problem, and maybe I act out of fear all the time, and maybe I got insecurities going on, and maybe I got a lot of discontentments, and maybe I lust in these areas, and maybe I got greed. You know, I could just kind of cover it all up with this idea that God's loving and that God just loves me. And Job says, who's to say that that's the case? Who's to say that God is not, you know, your enemy? And man, what a concept. Maybe I'm not right with the deity. And man, that's something to think about. A lot of people don't want to think about, so what do? We make up our own deity. That's what I did. Certainly so. You might too. It says, he will not catch my breath, but fills me instead with bitter sorrows. If it's a question of strength, he's strong. He's the strong one. It's a matter of justice. Who dares to summon him to court? Though I am innocent of my own mouth, though I am innocent, my own mouth would pronounce me guilty. Though I am blameless, he would prove me wicked. No matter how good I think I am, compared to God, do you see the problem? See, if God's going to let me into his kingdom, I'm going to have to be like him, or else God's not going to be righteous, right? He actually allows something that's not perfect, and that wouldn't be perfect. And so you see the problem. How can we dwell with this being? I am innocent, but it makes no difference to me. I despise my life, innocent or wicked. It is all the same to God. That's why I say he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. Man, to God, we're all under judgment. No one living before him is righteous. Might be a tough pill to swallow, but you know what? It's a true one. I mean, just look at the world. Look at history. Look at our life. Look at how it works. Look at how our lives are. Money driven, need to make money, need to pay this off, need to do that. I mean, there doesn't seem like any peace at all. Everything's a striving, right? No one gives you nothing for free, but yet God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him would not perish yet have everlasting life. Wow, salvation's free, but we're so rutted into earning, right? Earning our lives, the pride that comes from it, the narcissism that comes from the earning, that when God gives us something free, do we want it? Do we take it? No, we reject it. We want to instead serve someone else and be a slave to someone else. Really weird how we've got stuck in the flow of the not good, for sure. Instead we choosing, as Bob Marley says, the rat race, man, for sure. It says, what a plague sweeps through. He laughs at the death of the innocent. The whole earth is in the hands of the wicked, and God blinds his eye of the judges, and he is not the one who does it. If he is not the one who does it, who is? We got a hint from 1 and 2, by the way, of some of that answer. Chapters 1 and 2. My life passes more swiftly than a runner. It flees without a glimpse of happiness. It disappears like a swift papyrus boat, like an eagle swooping down on its prey. We just saw that the other day. An eagle come down and capture a big bird. Wow, that was radical to watch. If I decided to forget my complaints, to put away my sad face and be cheerful, I would still dread all the pain, for I know you will not find me innocent, O God. Whatever happens, I will be found guilty, so what's the use of trying? Even if I were to wash myself with soap and clean my hands with lye, you would plunge me into the muddy ditch, and my own filthy clothing would hate me. No matter how much I try to scrub, I just can't seem to do it. Why try? Just give up. Just go about my business, right? That's what we do at times, give up. Hey, let's not go that route. Let's not just look at the situation between God's holiness and our unholiness and just give up. Let's find the remedy. Right? There is a remedy. Job will get there. We'll see. But man, there is a fix. And that's the beautiful thing. It says, God is not a mortal like me. I cannot argue with him or take him to trial. If only there were a mediator between us, someone who could bring us together. The mediator could make God stop beating me, and I would no longer live in terror of his punishment. Then I could speak to him without fear, but I cannot do that in my own strength. Job knows he needs an intercessor. He knows he needs the middle person, right? Someone to bridge the gap between a holy God and sinful Job. Where's that going to come from? Who's going to be it? Job, thousands of years before Jesus, knows it. He knows the human depravity. He knows the human condition, that we are all but void of being like God. But yet we need to be like God to hang with God. to be able to speak with God, to be able to communicate with God. He's that much more vastly different than us and more righteous, what we call holy, all these things like this. But we need a mediator to what? To intercede between a God who has wrath against sin. And who is going to take this wrath? Who is going to deal with the punishment that we deserve? We might think we're right, but really we're wrong. We might think we're holy, but really we're not. We might think we got it together, but you don't, right? You need a mediator. Well, what does this point to? 2 Timothy, right, tells us in the New Testament that there's one mediator, right? Or 1 Timothy, one mediator between God and man. Who? The man Christ Jesus. That's what it says. There's one mediator, just one. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except by me. Jesus said, hey, I'm the good shepherd, man. You come in by me. You come in through me. I am the door. You come in my way, right? I am the one. I am the way that you are going to be made right to the Father. You can't just go to the Father. You can't just run in and hang out in the house. No way. You can't get in. There's only one way to get in, and that is to know the Son. Makes sense. We do this all the time in our lives, in our families. The only way you get in is by knowing the kid. That's how you get in. You have a friendship with the kid. So this is what Job gets at. Amazing? Absolutely amazing. Does Job understand the gospel? Absolutely he does. Was it preached already? Not like what we know from the New Testament, but obviously these are things that he knew just from even his observance of the world. See, even the world declares the glory of God. Even the natural world shows that we need a Savior, that something is wrong, and that we are but little tiny specks, and that we need an intercessor before whoever made, right, all this stuff, all the natural laws, all the laws of logic, all the laws that we follow as human beings. We're going to need an intercessor, because we are just that little. Job knew this all the way back in the day. I think we know it now too. Even a dude like me, a SoCal kid, could figure this out at the backyard of a party pumping a keg, you know? It's like, something's wrong. We're all jacked. Everything's a mess. Families are a mess. No matter how great they seem, something's wrong with them. You know, everything just seems not the way it needs to be. You know, it seems like there's so much potential, but we just can't seem to tap into it. We certainly try as human beings to tap into that potential, but something goes astray. Something we learn if we're just paying attention, even if we haven't even read the book. God puts it on our hearts. We have this conscience, and it's screaming, we need someone in the middle. Wow. Radical Devo, huh? Oh, man. So many cool things. Thank God for Jesus. That's a good one for this Devo, for sure. He is the mediator. So cool stuff. Thanks for joining me. This chapter 9. What a doozy, right? Boy, man, they knew quite a bit more than what we think. So you guys take care. Bye-bye.